Or in a space mission from Jesus? Yes, no. It may be the only righteous expansion for you, my creative destructors. The following may be the only expansion possible for you, my creative destructors. Let me get this light on and do something new tonight in Open Source Human 1.5. This alarm, what I call buttressing the day. It is an option at the Fabrea Flaw Hour as a combination of Fabrea formations and flaw formations that just sort of came to me. There have been Fab in the last 2 days. Basically, buttressing the day, any time zone really. 7:34 a.m., 7:34 p.m. You go to your phone and you try to do a new message to your family. Start with the immediate first, work your way out. I'm going to go ahead and do this to the most, nope, this is a new cycled phone. All that loss of functionality I talked about on the last programs, Open Source Human 1.5, I've recovered almost, and going to buttress the day. I think I did a photo this morning at the 7:34 Fabrea Flaw hour. I call it the hour because it's 9 minutes long till the next Fabrea Flaw formation, which is 7:43. Reversing the numbers, add them together, that's 77 in flaw formations. So let me see. I'm going to try to add a picture, take a picture. Let's see if it works. Rah. So that's me sending it off now. It may or may not work. Oh, it looks, I think it went through. So that's how you buttress the day. Welcome to Open Source Human 1.5. The original version, we asked the question, where, when, what, how, and who should we pay for an economy that works? It was on a local cable access station back in 2009, 2008, something like that, for about 2, 3 months, 4 months. I had fun. I was hoping to, I got a few callers. It's not as at lack as things are today, but I'm thankful for the live stream. I'm thankful for being able to feel like I can still have fun getting my message out. So that question, Open Source Human, the original, was where, when, what, how, and who should we pay for an economy that works? Now, I'm pleased to say that I'm still in receipt of a separate book. I've held off on finishing it because we talked about in the previous shows a potty may be arising and some segments I didn't intend for, but Open Source Human 2.0. And I want you to call in and ask me questions about that book, that socioeconomic situation. I'll answer yes or no, and if I hate your question, you get another one. The phone number I was saying yesterday, I've tried to get some better programming than just like that. But this phone at my annexed mental institution, illegally licensed, illegally running warrants, still has me in receipt of this phone, and it hasn't blown up yet, and I don't want it to. But if you call me at 1-503-245-5334, I'll answer and you can ask one of those yes no situation. It's an all voluntary social martial, so set of trade language, and it is not done. It hurts. It hurts to know that I can't finish, that my work has been traveling, that the paper have kind of disappeared, been disorganized and missing, along with other works of art. Alternatively, I kind of have a separate connection to the internet now, which may provide a connection through iMessages. I got that wrong a couple of shows ago, maybe more. As you can tell, I haven't really planned this because it's just the best I can do in sort of my annex situation. But that iMessages account should be a flawed good soul, same as creator of this YouTube channel, Open Source Human 1.5. Um, but that doesn't show typically very well yet. So again, that iMessages account is a flawed good soul. It's capital A, capital F, LAWEDGOODSOUL, capital AF, capital GS. A flawed good soul. And that is my name. My first name is Doctor in Air. Now, the original meaning of Doctor in Air, as I found on the internet, just came across it a couple years back when I was thinking I need to separate myself from these socioeconomic conditions. I need to think before I knew about abandoning and withdrawing from what I saw was a conspiratorial environment that didn't even respect the elements of pleading the case of civil conspiracy in court. And so that name got changed eventually. I found that it actually means to hold fast to fundamental religious beliefs without consideration for the conditions current in all things socioeconomic, essentially. I didn't balk at that. I thought, I'm asking people, hey, do you believe in Jesus? Do you believe that, prophets have come and gone, that wandering warrior spirits still exist, and that some of their work is righteous still? I thought doctrinaire, I should know about that, but if I'm going to go down, I'm going to go down for Jesus, man. But the other texts too, it's just that when I was in my darkest days, I heard that story, and I thought, you know, um, if something's going to happen to me, if I didn't invite myself into this world and there's so much pain, I'm gonna head the same direction. Never too late to pick up your cross and follow Him, as I'd walked. But that's not necessary. The socioeconomic conditions, they're variables, they're all myth, and if you weren't doctrinaire enough to realize that those texts can also be decentralized from your libraries, they can be changed, they can be augmented, either officially or otherwise. Um, you may not unite the stupidiums well enough. Um, so again, open source human 1.5, the idea is to do some inspiritual questionomics, inspiring ritually. Inspiration comes from Greek or Hebrew, I forget which, means basically just to breathe. And rituality, rituals, whatever they be, it's got a bad connotation now. Um, very specific reasons why, theory anyway. But in spiritual would be the idea to just constantly breathe, and that comes from another attachment there, the suffix of the verse. Questionomics, which is just questioning the math of the day and not being too afraid to do what all these wandering warriors and spirits of doctrine have always done, which is declare themselves God if there isn't one. Um, we'll step that down to God while there isn't one, just God while there isn't one. And feel free to keep riffing on the same text. Like I said, all of this work in my system. I couldn't call it an all voluntary social martial socioeconomic plan if I hadn't thought of those things. I'm not compromising my values, as you can see. I don't expect anyone else to compromise theirs. But the idea of its spiritual questionomics is to kind of call in 1503 245 5334 if the phone works. It's never really quite worked here at the house, but you can try it. And you just ask the question yes, no, what do you know? What do you know, Mr. Flaw? Whatever we're going to rip on, heckle me, If I don't like your question, you get another one. And so if we get laughing, I will try to ask you in the same respect. Odds, well, several. So answer me this. Laughing. If I can get you laughing, I will ask you a yes no question too, and that will just be the inspiritual questionomics of this segment of Open Source Human 1.5. The only two segments other than that, more that I'm waiting to do, and have to do, were pre-Christmas, around Christmas, this of Yuccular, and every show with the thought, who who would run, who would lead, who would be sovereign in a world of socioeconomics that say we are a schizophrenic confederacy. We have borders. We disagree. We fully war and battle and do worse. Who would do all that without enough material, enough attention expansion of all economies to know finally and forever, quickly, painlessly, and totally that all life could be extinguished, and maybe on that space mission somehow, maybe on our space missions, maybe where other humans exist, even in other borders, we would summon the white knights of all time. Maybe. I mean, you got to think. You got to think. All myth, height of science fiction, people was basically in my mind the Star Trek genre. They had something called the Prime Directive, and they had something called Vulcan and Vulcans. Stupid stuff. But what they did is they said, until the world recovers from the war to end all wars, call that the past. Other species, other humans wouldn't be safe, and that they wouldn't visit us. They wouldn't be our white knights. They would not trouble themselves with our existence. It was such chaos unless we were prepared to do business 101, which is just take the poison pill. I've talked about the Twitter, and you look at the Facebook and what else I may value. All the internet's great. But I've said it isn't my intention to go outside of any authority on this. It just wouldn't work by the math. Hence, all voluntary social, martial, socioeconomics. This bank state is in perspective treaty components is what I call it. There's two other titles in the prefix I'm working on. As it comes together, I will decide in variation as I translate and get risk mitigation, just how that will fall. But again, in all voluntary social, martial, socioeconomics, it's important. It's important to understand that I'm not going to make any moves or damage complaints and filings and pleadings and petitions and other things, or business that I have, just to fulfill this yuccular or this scary but fun thought that if the whole business world in international trade doesn't have the poison pill, I'm going with this. I won't rattle these snake tails much more. We'll get straight to the body details now. So yuccular war. I was thinking, it would be quite funny. Yuccular war item number one. If you want to secure an event, a party for somebody who has a socioeconomic text to finish, pretty much 80, 90% done. As I've said, there's that and that and that and that to finish up. And good luck doing that, people who've stolen my work. Um, if you wanted to anchor that kind of an event, if you anchored that kind of event, if you wanted to clear us back to pre-Gulf 2 syndrome, um, I would think the sound shot heard around the world would be a little dry thumping, people, getting a little funny, you know, risk management people, you know. If you want to be conservative, like I've said, by the math, I have to be. It is, I'm just doing kind of these things because I want you to see I'm an artist and that I can do things. I can make a lot of things happen with movement and just planning on the run. Thanks to the grace I have in this Oregon era, and how I've had time to study law like my master and do the right things. But the funny business again, Yuck Your War item number two basically says, it without sin, plug up the first potty. Now, we were all desert poopers in that Abrahamic origin at some point, weren't we? The question is, did your prophet poop, Pete? Lose hair, skin, etc.? Mine did. Like I said, it's all voluntary social martial socioeconomics. I cannot do anything without the honest or better word threats out there. The code, the honest threats. I have to ask that people assemble those caucuses that they respect the powers that exist today, wherever they are in every border. Even if you have to use a symbolist symbol or other cryptology to have your Citizens United situation accrue, your cash flow. Um, but do it with a heart of the highest set of laws, please. Nothing I'm asking is illegal. It's of saying things like cold revolution. I've been mistaken lukewarm revolution. I was just kind of I don't I'm taking that back. It's just revolitioning at this point. Pleading through the court system. Um, Not necessarily any class action. I've just kind of done ex party work. Asking for judicial conventions. Call it what you will, but those people, they don't do their business in public, do they? They lead. So you get what we've had here last week, which is the way I want it. Yeah, maybe not, maybe not. But I just the potty event, getting back to the yuck yuck, wars. And item two. Um, if you want to anchor an event as a conservative in a very liberal world of schizophrenic confederacy, as it is just by the math, borders, and people fighting for their supposed highest doctrines, you're going to have to get a little liberal. You're just going to have to take the risk of mobilizing a command and getting more conservative on the way and trusting someone who artistically wears all uniforms, but would quietly do so, which is of course the trust me factor. The thought that I couldn't be just in a green zone of my own hometown for hometown generators everywhere. a slave to my own work and let the potty just happen. I'll clean it up later. I promise. I promise. If it, I mean, if I need to walk the fields wherever this Oregon situation of hometowns may do, before it happens, make me do it. Worse things have happened. I'll do it, step by step, and I'll have a good time. Um, of course, still going to have to use some help on the perimeter situations. The idea of bands rioting and people respecting that management can't hold them back. But of course, they're just gonna have to possibly bond to the Orchested situation of Georgish winter statutory authority emergent in Oregon Ride statutes and such. Anyhow, other ideas. I can bookkeep. I'm looking to get part-time work and such. Like I said, I can catch up regulations really fast if I am heard on the conditions. And right now it's just a potty. It's just getting, I'm getting myself to plan these supposed tangentialities. They'd say it's tangential, but I promise you, I have a real authority on having fun with power who would entertain meetings about planning events and doing something Georgious. So if you want to support potty events, if you trust that I'll catch up with the regulations later, if you think I can't keep out in multiple perimeters all parties who do not bond correctly, call me up, 1-503-245-5334. Give me a penny, and I will maybe in a couple words step up a united concern of all parties globally or sovereignties or whatever you want to say in your theology is supreme. Number again is 1-503-245-5334. You can catch me on Apple Messages before or after the show. I have my computer on sometimes. At A Flawed Good Soul. Capital A, capital F, LAWED, capital G, OOD, capital S, OUL. That's just A Flawed Good Soul. More potty details. I would hope, because things get misplaced on the internet. Mosaics are found and separated into a single picture and thought of as revolutionary, when really they're just movie references. Movie reference. Building. No, it's not that hard to gain tension. And then attentives. So let's see, where were we? Is there more potty details if I have to just leak them out slowly and risk that someone else will ball them up into the past or future and come after your souls? These things cross my mind today. So if we have worry about what's going to happen if we can't wire the event correctly, if the guard or the perimeters as they get manned and womanced. Well, I hope. I think out of those womanchings, we have children arrive. Those children may hold anyone who has the cashes to bond to the Or Chestable. Would get the Or party, you call it, party event event switches. It's a very well thought out program. Of course, I just don't have anybody to riff with. And they say that the highest laws of the land won't protect the older tested. So get your casters this way. Maybe they'll do the right thing. Um, if their signatures aren't already being multiplicitly rubber stamped on so much substantive, unnecessary documentation, which is fine. Like I said, always now. Those details again, the thought today, which I think, I mean, these are the kind of things if I riffed with an authority on, if I was respected as a kind of pro se citizen with free speech, a hometown generator myself, would have come to the forefront. Would have been an easy question like, what do we do if this sort of thing happens? Today it just kind of occurred, hey, give the kids, give the children who make through all perimeter and rings there around the Oregon state, the controls of the event. Anything happens, question them, press them, impress them, let them know their leader still Ponte. And if they get scared, tell them to just stop it, wire it down. Any one of them. I don't care how long, it just gets funnier at that point. I mean, I'd be in the green zone, no connection but to the deaf. Entertaining myself and finishing my socioeconomics, which are already worth kind of the money and thought that I put out in private affairs to mitigate the risk. It's very difficult to know that your government has a right of revolution at all times and is always exercising that authority, believing their children will grow up to be stronger somehow. Maybe not poop or pee at all, lose a single cell of skin or hair. Now, I'm not cracking, you know. I'm a doctor in air. I can't say how painful it is, to be blue. My rushes. And I think it was about it. The important things, I guess I said two things tonight came to my attention about the socioeconomics, about the question of the original open source human, where, when, what, how, and who should be paid for in a common that works, and subsequent writings that have kind of been decentralized, missing and such. There was one component, and I'll leak it out now. It was a thought that, well, I can't really say much, but all I can say is I think the only weak point, if taken out of context in a program that wasn't finished, could be responsible for misthought, as we talked about yesterday. Open Source Human 1.5, this very show, same hour, 7:34 p.m. Pacific. I think it's 8 hours negative Greenwich Mean Time for anybody outside the United States. I think that may have been what has troubled me all these years somehow, and very specific elements of conspiracy and how those things, your TARDIS devices. If you Doctor Who, it was meant to be not as entertaining to those who love humanity and call themselves uh, incomputable. And again, my mechanisms, my socioeconomics are not intended. They're not intended to bring about any kind of wormhole or singularity or takeoff or rapture or apocalypse or any horror, good or bad, to the internet or other human beings, other theologies, any party or private affair. That's how well the immutable. So if by images or code in your mind, misthought, mismath, pleasure from these machines, and they do not but give you everything you want, you don't know you're crazy. As we said on the program a few times, I think, the worst thing in the world is to be crazy and not know it. I've caught up to the incomputable. I can still fail. I can still have work stolen from me and misinterpreted. But I suppose it's all for better Ponte. Not necessarily transparent. That doesn't happen yet. And I wouldn't see it. How's that for a rapture? Poop clear, my friends. I'm carrying a horrible burden, knowing that most people out there are still trying to comply. They're still getting bits paid for, that machines believe they are incomputable, that pictures can be taken outside of mosaic tapestry and misinterpreted, even in my own life, pieces missing being misinterpreted against my better interests. All to be said, that better government won't exist, that better leaders won't exist, that we will not know we are crazy and recover from it by a boy stream. For hometown generators everywhere, for hometown radios and hometown batteries. So, if you're getting here now or watching previous programs, we talked about this being Open Source Human 1.5. The original Open Source Human, we asked the question, where, when, what, how, and who should we pay for an economy works? Now I call my work Bank Statism Perspective Treaty Components because I have about 17 options at least for all your respective borders in schizophrenic confederacies, above and within. For me, to remain conservative for as long as it takes and to prolong the window of phase up expansion of anything agreed upon in whatever treaty arises, hopefully a long time from now, and at least 4.5 years, because I'm a Christian and I do fear the same truth in the book. And again, it's been more than 4 years since I've had my epiphany, since I've been mistaken for saying things that I merely intensed, that I merely misthought, that I merely pulled back from excitement and eureka moments of, oh my gosh, I'm the boy who did it. You know? So 17 options there for them to keep me conservative, because it just wouldn't work any other way with the math, you know. Um, Again, center of the party, you should have come to my hometown. I should have come nearby to this Oregon experiment. In that green zone, it would just contain me from crowd, I still drive. I could park my vehicle and work just inside that chamber, having or-chested individuals who make bondability through the rings, getting inside, understanding the nature of all voluntary, social, martial, socioeconomic, being written in that silence, and having the switches to end the party, any music brought, any anchoring of the event, getting backward to pre wars to end all wars, sound shots, and dry thumps, peoples, and more. And I'll clean it all up later. I can march it now if the emergent comes down on the 401 Point Georges winter. Because we have to contain this. And there's cleanup value referenced. You can make me do that. I've been made to do worse. And so we're getting to that jackpot minutia again. I go about 37 minutes every day. Your codes and your visions and your sounds and everything misdrugs, that everything scales up from misdrug to mismath to misthought, and worse in the wrap of that. But we can get to those elements later. This has been Open Source Human 1.5.2 version. I thank you. Please record and review. And if you will, record again. Send that voltage into the sky. If you're Christ.